The evening had been calm when Anna picked up the car keys from the counter. She smiled at her husband, David, and casually said, "Just taking the car for a quick spin. I'll be back soon." David nodded, not suspecting anything unusual. After all, Anna often enjoyed short drives when she needed fresh air. But what Anna didn't realize was that David had recently installed a small camera inside the car, not out of distrust, but because their neighborhood had seen a rise in break-ins. It was meant to be a precaution. Later that night, as David scrolled through his phone, he noticed a notification from the car's security system. Out of curiosity, he tapped it open. The footage showed Anna behind the wheel, her eyes darting nervously. She wasn't driving aimlessly. She had a destination in mind. David leaned closer, heart pounding. Something about the way she kept glancing at the passenger seat made his chest tighten. The camera had captured more than just a drive. It was about to reveal a secret Anna never intended him to see. David sat frozen, staring at the small screen in his hand. The footage wasn't just ordinary driving. Anna parked the car in an empty lot near the edge of town. She checked her phone quickly, her face tense, then looked toward the passenger seat. For a few seconds, nothing happened. Then, the passenger door opened. Someone slid inside. The camera angle didn't fully capture their face, but the voice was unmistakable. A man's laugh, casual, comfortable, like he had done this before. David's stomach dropped. His mind raced between disbelief and denial. He replayed the clip twice, trying to convince himself he misunderstood. But Anna's smile in the recording, different, softer, almost secret, was something he hadn't seen in months. He set the phone down, running a hand over his face. A storm of emotions boiled inside him. Anger, sadness, confusion. Yet beneath it all was one haunting question. Why hadn't she told him? David knew he couldn't ignore it. The truth was sitting right there, recorded in clear detail. And now, he had to decide whether to confront Anna immediately or wait to see just how deep her secret went. David barely slept that night. Every time he closed his eyes, the image of Anna's secretive smile burned into his mind. By morning, he had already replayed the footage so many times that he knew every movement, every glance she gave. At breakfast, Anna hummed as she poured coffee, acting like nothing had happened. Her calmness only made David's thoughts louder. Should he ask her outright? Should he pretend he didn't know and gather more proof? Instead, he chose silence for now. He slipped his phone into his pocket and forced a smile. But throughout the day, while Anna went about her usual routines, David checked the car's camera system again. That's when he noticed something he had missed before. Anna wasn't just sitting in the car with the man. They had driven somewhere together. The footage showed the car pulling into a quiet street lined with old houses. The man leaned closer, speaking in low tones, and Anna nodded. David's heart raced. This wasn't a random meeting. It looked planned. The question was no longer if something was happening, but how long it had been going on. And David, though hurt, decided one thing. He wasn't going to confront her blindly. He was going to let the camera reveal everything. The following evening, Anna once again reached for the car keys. She smiled casually, just like before, and said, "Just another short drive. I'll be back soon." David's chest tightened, but he kept his expression calm. He simply nodded, masking the storm inside him. As the front door closed behind her, he pulled out his phone, opening the live camera feed. The car rolled down the street, headlights cutting through the dusk. David's heart thumped as he watched Anna's hands grip the wheel, her face tense but determined. Moments later, the same man appeared again, slipping into the passenger seat with the ease of someone who had done it many times before. This time, David didn't just watch. He grabbed his jacket and keys, quietly following at a safe distance in his old truck. His palms sweated as he tailed the car, every turn of her steering wheel making his stomach churn. Finally, Anna pulled up to the same quiet neighborhood. The man leaned toward her, whispering something that made her laugh softly. David, watching from a distance, felt his breath catch. The truth was unfolding before his eyes, and it was worse than he had imagined. David parked a block away, cutting his engine so the sound wouldn't give him away. His pulse hammered in his ears as he watched Anna and the man step out of the car. They didn't walk quickly or nervously. Instead, they moved like this was routine, like they had done it many times before. They approached an old brick house, its lights dim, curtains drawn. The man unlocked the door with a key. A key. That detail struck David like a blow to the chest. Whoever this man was, Anna trusted him enough to share a place that clearly wasn't new to her. From his hidden spot, David lifted his phone and snapped a picture of the license plate parked in front of the house. He needed every piece of proof. For a long moment, he just sat there, torn between storming in and demanding answers or holding back to see the full picture. His heart screamed for confrontation, but his mind whispered caution. Then, through the car's camera feed, he noticed something else. Anna had left her purse in the passenger seat, and inside the side pocket, half visible, was an envelope. David zoomed in. Written across it, in Anna's handwriting, were the words, "For you?" David's eyes locked on the envelope, resting in Anna's purse. "For you." The words gnawed at him, confusing and unsettling all at once. Who was you? Was it for the man? Or was it for him? His hands trembled as he debated whether to wait for Anna or check it right then. The car was parked only a few feet away, the purse sitting in plain sight. Every second felt heavier, like time itself was daring him to act. Finally, driven by a mix of anger and desperation, David stepped out of his truck and approached the car. He glanced around, no one in sight. Carefully, he cracked open the passenger door and slid the envelope out. Back in his truck, he tore it open with shaking fingers. Inside was a handwritten letter. His heart pounded as he read the first line. "David, if you're reading this, it means I couldn't find the courage to tell you face to face." David's breath caught. The words blurred for a second, but he forced himself to keep reading. Anna's handwriting continued, each sentence cutting deeper. "I've been keeping a secret from you. Please understand before you judge me." David's chest tightened. This wasn't just about another man. It was something else, something he hadn't expected. David gripped the letter, his knuckles white as his eyes moved down the page. "The man you've seen with me is not who you think. He's not a stranger. He's my brother." David froze. His brother? That didn't make sense. Anna had never once mentioned having a brother. His heart pounded as he read on. "When I was young, my family separated. He grew up in foster care, while I was raised by relatives. We only reconnected recently. I didn't tell you because I didn't know how you'd react after so many years of silence. I thought you'd think I was hiding something, and I was afraid." David's head spun. The man wasn't a lover, but a brother? Then why the secrecy? Why the secret meetings in a quiet house? At that very moment, his phone buzzed. The camera feed was still running. He glanced down and saw Anna inside the house. She was sitting at a table with the man, tears in her eyes, while he handed her a stack of old photographs. Family photos. Childhood memories. David's anger shifted into something else entirely, confusion, guilt, and a dawning realization. Maybe he had been chasing the wrong truth. But still, why hadn't she trusted him enough to share it openly? David sat motionless in his truck, the letter trembling in his hands. The truth should have relieved him, but instead it stirred a storm of new questions. Why had Anna hidden something so important? Why hadn't she trusted him with this piece of her past? Through the camera feed, he watched Anna wipe her tears as her brother passed her another photograph. They leaned over the table, pointing at faces from long ago, sharing quiet laughter through the emotion. David felt torn. On one hand, he understood. Family reunions after decades apart weren't easy. On the other, secrecy had nearly destroyed his trust. Finally, unable to sit any longer, he started the truck and quietly pulled closer to the house. His hands gripped the steering wheel until his knuckles turned pale. He rehearsed words in his head. Do I tell her I know? Do I admit I followed her? Or do I wait for her to come clean herself? As Anna stepped outside moments later, hugging her brother tightly, David's heart pounded. He knew this was the moment. He couldn't keep silent anymore. Anna closed her brother's door gently, lingering for a moment on the porch. She looked lighter somehow, as if she had laid down a burden she had carried for years. She turned toward the car, unaware that David's truck was idling just down the street. David's pulse roared in his ears as he stepped out. The crunch of gravel under his boots made Anna freeze. Her eyes widened when she saw him standing there, the letter still in his hand. "David," she whispered, her voice shaky. "What are you doing here?" He held up the envelope, his voice rough. "I could ask you the same thing. Why did I have to find out like this?" Anna's face drained color. She glanced at the letter, then at his eyes, guilt and fear battling in her expression. "I was going to tell you," she said softly. "I just didn't know how." David's chest tightened. The pain of betrayal still stung, but now it was tangled with confusion and an ache he didn't understand. "Anna, I thought you were hiding someone else. I thought—" His voice cracked and he couldn't finish. Tears welled in her eyes. "I was hiding, but not what you think." She reached for his hand, trembling. "Please, let me explain everything." David didn't move at first. The night air was cold, but the silence between them felt even heavier. Anna's hand hovered near his, waiting, afraid to close the distance. "Explain," David finally said, his voice low but steady. Anna took a shaky breath. "He's my brother, David. My real brother. I never told you because I barely knew him myself. We were split apart when I was little. I only found him a few months ago through a friend who recognized our family name." Her words tumbled out quickly, as if she feared she'd lose her chance to be heard. David's jaw tightened. "So you've been sneaking around with him? Meeting in secret houses? Do you have any idea what this looked like to me?" He held up the letter. "Do you know what I thought you were doing?" Tears streamed down Anna's face. "I know. I was terrified of this exact moment. I didn't want you to think I was betraying you. I thought, if I could be sure he was really my brother, if I could understand why our lives were torn apart, then I'd bring you into it. But I kept delaying, and every day it got harder to confess." David searched her eyes. The pain was real. The fear was real. Still, the wound of her secrecy cut deep. He exhaled slowly, his voice cracking. "You should have trusted me, Anna. I'm your husband. I was ready to believe the worst because you left me in the dark." Anna sobbed, whispering, "I'm sorry. I didn't want to lose you." David stood in silence, the letter heavy in his hand, the weight of his fears pressing down on him. Anna's apology hung in the air, raw and desperate. "I didn't want to lose you," she repeated, her voice breaking. Something in her tone pierced through the wall of anger inside him. He looked at her, not at the tears, not at the guilt, but at the woman he had built a life with, the woman who, despite her mistake in hiding the truth, had never once let go of their love. David's shoulders slumped, his anger slowly giving way to something else. "You almost did," he admitted quietly. "Not because of what you were doing, but because of the silence. Secrets destroy trust, Anna. I don't care if it's about a brother, a past, or anything else. If we're not honest, we don't stand a chance." Anna stepped closer, finally daring to touch his hand. "You're right. I was wrong. I promise, no more secrets. From now on, you'll know everything. About him, about me, about the past I was too afraid to share." David's chest ached, but this time it wasn't anger. It was love fighting to surface again. He let her hand rest in his, squeezing gently, not fully forgiving yet, but no longer pushing her away. For the first time that night, Anna allowed herself a fragile smile through her tears. Just as David squeezed Anna's hand, the front door creaked open. Both of them turned sharply. Her brother stepped onto the porch, his expression cautious, sensing the tension in the air. He looked between them, then focused on David. "You must be him," he said softly. The husband Anna couldn't stop talking about. David stiffened, unsure how to respond. The man extended his hand anyway. "My name's Mark. I know I should have introduced myself sooner, but Anna asked me to give her time. I didn't mean to come between you two." David hesitated, staring at the hand. His instinct screamed to pull away, but the sincerity in Mark's eyes was hard to ignore. Slowly, he shook it. "I thought you were—" David began, then stopped himself, ashamed to even say it. Mark gave a small, understanding nod. "I get it. If I were in your shoes, I'd probably think the same thing. But all I wanted was to reconnect with my sister." She's all I've got left from our childhood. Anna wiped her tears, whispering, I didn't want to hurt you, David. I just didn't know how to let the past and present meet without it exploding. David looked at both of them, the woman he loved and the brother she had finally found. For the first time, he felt the weight of her secret beginning to lift. Mark stepped back toward the porch and motioned for them to come inside. It's freezing out here. Maybe we should sit down and talk properly. David hesitated, glancing at Anna. She gave him a small, pleading look, part fear, part hope. With a slow nod, he followed them into the house. Inside, the living room was modest but warm. Old photographs lay scattered across the coffee table, some faded and curled at the edges. Mark picked one up and handed it to David. This is Anna when she was 5. I was 7. The last picture we ever took together before we were separated. David stared at the photo, his throat tightening. Anna looked almost identical to their daughter at that age. It struck him harder than he expected. Mark leaned forward. I don't want to take anything away from you two. I wanted to know my family again. I wanted Anna to remember she wasn't alone before you came into her life. David looked at Anna. She had tears in her eyes, but her expression was softer now, like a weight had finally been set down. For the first time, David felt his anger loosen. The secrecy still hurt, but in the face of family, he began to see why Anna had struggled so much to find the right words. The three of them sat in silence for a moment, the old photographs between them carrying more weight than any words. David's chest still ached, but the sharp edge of betrayal was dulling. Anna reached across the table, her hand trembling as she placed it on David's. I should have told you the first moment I found him, she whispered. I let fear control me. I thought you'd see me differently, that you'd think my past made me less worthy of the life we built. David met her eyes, his voice heavy but calm. You're my wife, Anna. Nothing could make me see you as less. But when you hide the truth, it leaves me wondering what else you might hide. That's what nearly broke us. Mark looked between them, his voice low. She didn't want to lose what you have. And I think she didn't want to lose me again either. It wasn't betrayal, it was fear. The kind I know too well. David's hand tightened around Anna's. He could feel her pulse racing, could see her bracing for his final judgment. Slowly, he exhaled. I don't know if I can forgive the secrecy overnight, he said. But I do know one thing. I don't want to lose you. Not to fear. Not to silence. Anna let out a sob, burying her face against his shoulder. For the first time in days, David held her, not with suspicion but with love. David held Anna close, her tears soaking into his shirt as the last of the walls between them crumbled. The pain of secrecy lingered, but love, raw and enduring, was stronger. Mark stood quietly, giving them space, but then spoke gently. I don't want to be the reason you two hurt. I only want to be part of your lives if it brings you closer, not further apart. David lifted his head, meeting his eyes. For the first time, there was no suspicion, only understanding. Family shouldn't be a secret, he said firmly. If Anna has you back in her life, then so do I. But from now on, no more hiding. Everything stays in the open. Anna nodded through her tears, clutching David's hand like a lifeline. I promise. Never again. The three of them gathered the photos from the table, each one a fragment of a broken past now slowly piecing itself together. When they stepped out of the house, the cold night air felt different, lighter, almost cleansing. As David and Anna walked back to their car, hand in hand, she whispered, "Thank you for not giving up on me." He kissed her forehead softly. We don't give up on family. Not ever. And for the first time since the secret began, they drove home not as two people divided by silence, but as a family ready to face the future together.